In this lesson, we will learn how to compare products using comparative adjectives. So, how would you compare two boxes? Well, we can use the adjectives small, big, heavy, and light. And to compare, we can add an er at the end of the word for the comparative adjectives. So, we get smaller, bigger, heavier, and lighter. We can also use the adjectives tall, wide, long, and short. So when we add er, we get taller, wider, longer, and shorter. So we can say the yellow box is smaller, shorter, narrower, and lighter than the blue box. And the blue box is bigger, heavier, wider, and longer than the yellow box. Now, how would you compare these two speakers? Which one is lighter, cheaper, narrower, and heavier? Here are the specifications. Well, we can say that the Bose Bluetooth speaker is smaller, narrower, lighter than the JBL. And the JBL is bigger, heavier, wider, longer, and cheaper than the Bose. Not sure which one is a better deal though. Let's look at the structure. Well, there are three ways to create comparatives. For the shorter adjectives, that means the words that have one or two syllables, we add an er at the end. Here are a few examples. But for the longer adjectives, and also for some short ones, you add a more instead of er. These are usually long adjectives with more than two syllables or two sounds. Here are some examples. So we say more powerful and not powerfuler. And there are two exceptions. Good becomes better and bad becomes worse. Well, let's try some exercises. How would you compare these two tablets? Well, here are the specifications for the Samsung Galaxy Tab 8 inches and the Dragon Touch Notepad K10. Well, they are comparable products in the same price range, but when we look closely, we can see that the Samsung Galaxy Tab is more expensive. It's also smaller and lighter. The Dragon Touch, however, is bigger, heavier, and also cheaper. And when we compare the storage space and the average battery life, we can also say that the Samsung Galaxy Tab is more convenient. Now let's compare two hotels. Let's look closely as to what they have to offer. Hotel Atlantico has better ratings and it's also more expensive. Hotel Astoria is cheaper. Which is more convenient? Well, that depends on what you're looking for. Since Atlantico is on the beach, it could be more convenient if you were going to the beach every day. And Astoria could be more convenient if you were going to the city center every day. That's a tough choice. Now let's compare two flights. A direct flight compared to an indirect flight. Here are the details. A stopover means a break in the journey. So in an indirect flight, there are two flights that take you to the final destination. And by refundable, we mean that the money is given back to us when we cancel the flight. And a non-refundable ticket means we don't get our money back if the flight is cancelled. So, when we compare these two options, we can see that the direct flight is obviously more expensive, but it's also safer. That is, just in case you need to cancel the flight, in that case, you will get your money back. It's also more convenient because it is a direct flight after all. The indirect flight is obviously cheaper and it's also more time consuming. It could also be more expensive in case you have to pay extra for meals or in case you have to cancel the flight because it's a non-refundable ticket. So that's how we compare products. Remember, with the shorter adjectives, we add an R or an ER in the end. With some short ones and longer adjectives, we use more. And the good and the bad become better and worse.